Hi, Tammy. How are you?
Hi, Sid. I'm great, thanks. How are you?
Lovely. It's awesome to catch up with you. I missed you last week. I hope all is okay.
All's well, thank you. Missed you guys too, but I really missed you, so I'm back again.
Yeah, likewise. Especially, I think we have probably revisited this topic before, but I think we're probably going more in depth on it, which is the jobs and cost of living, Dubai versus South Africa. And to get the ball rolling, what are the most in demand jobs in Dubai right now, especially for South Africans looking to relocate?
So, before we get into the question, I just want to reiterate the reason for me wanting to touch on the subject again is I've seen so many people in the past 2 months over the December January period that are actually after 6 years, after 8 years, after 2 years, actually upping and leaving because their contracts are not being renewed. So I thought
Oh,
let's revisit this topic about the jobs in demand. And look, there's still few and far in between where the jobs are still there, where the South Africans are still in demand. But the reason for me coming on is wanting to stress on this topic. A lot of South Africans are selling up everything. They're seeing this fantastic salary, and they're not realizing that the Dubai is something totally different. Their living
mm,
expenses is so much. So to get to the question, a lot of the jobs, if you before tech and IT was huge, but you're getting a lot of the companies here that are outsourcing the tech and IT jobs to India, where they're getting the staff there to work remotely. But these young kids that are coming out of university, and they're quite sharp. They working overnight, and it's cheap labor, so they're
yeah.
looking at that. So don't fool yourself, especially if you are coming in an IT field. Do your homework properly because a lot of the IT field jobs are being outsourced to India. Finances and accounting is still a big area where you can get into the banking sector. If you've got banking experience, you can still get into the banking sector here. And the good thing is that in South Africa, we do have the gift of the gab, where we do our English is the neutral English, which is still very much in demand. Engineering
Okay.
and construction, those sort of jobs are, I would say, more on the engineering side. So if you got an engineering degree and if you've got the skills, the experience, come along. But on the construction side, it's still sort of like a gray area because on the if you're looking at on-site construction, the blue collar workers, they're getting the Indians from India,
Okay.
absolute cheap labor. Some of them are
Mm,
living
yeah.
in those those container things. So it's still they're going the cheap labor route there. Healthcare, everything in medical, there's still a high demand for the doctors, for nurses, allied professionals, and they still have those. I think it's Doctors Without Borders and Doctors on Demand, Doctors on Call. There's still a lot out there in the medical field.
Mhm.
Like your sales environment, your B2C, B2B sales areas, if you are good at what you do and you've got a good record, by all means, go ahead and apply for jobs. Digital marketing and the e-commerce side,
Mhm.
there's also with that, you're getting a lot of the cheap labor from India, from the Philippines, where people are working remotely, and they're fulfilling the function. The same goes for hospitality and aviation. It's
Mhm.
what is like something totally niche that you have to offer. The only thing right now I would say that South Africans do have is the language, where they can articulate themselves well, and the politeness, etc. Same with the logistics and supply chain. Do the homework very, very well before you actually come across here. South Africans are being fooled by the
Mhm.
large salaries. the old saying of all that glitters is not gold is very true.
Yeah.
People are coming here. I'm begging the South Africans, if you're coming here, do not sell up your properties. Do not uproot your kids, your family. Come here first, check it out, but get to feel what it's like. There's so many people that are going into depression. There's so many people that are reaching out. I belong to a lot of the groups, the South African groups, and especially the ladies that are coming out here, leaving their families behind. It is a very lonely place. Dubai is full with people, but it's a very lonely place. You don't have that close knit family, where you can just rock up or phone a friend. It's not like that here. People are very much to themselves. And I know this was another thing that came up in one of the groups where the lady was literally crying and saying, I'm so lonely, I'm depressed, she actually mentioned that she's suicidal. So like, people are trying to reach out and help, but it's still not the same like South Africa, where you've got your family close, you've got your friends close, your work colleagues become your friends. It's not like that here. Once you leave those doors in the afternoon, cheers, there's no mingling and meeting. You do get, if you're at the younger crowd, where you want to go clubbing, you want to go to a restaurant or something, you do get that. But if you are married and you're looking, I know a lot of ladies that are here where the husbands are working and they're at home with the kids, with small kids, they're also finding it very difficult to meet and mingle with like-minded people. So just be very, very cautious on that.
I guess the moral of the story, you're trying to say that people need to do their research before being seduced by the money.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thorough research. And there's so many groups out there. There's Google. There's so many things. There's people that you can ask. Find out, even if you get a certain bracket of salary, put it onto the groups and say, I'm a family of 4. Can I live on this salary? And people would, are so open and willing to assist, to give you advice, speak to people, get to know what you're getting into. Be very open-minded with that. Don't like huddle yourself up and think, oh, somebody's gonna be jealous if I put my. Go as an anonymous person and say, I'm coming to Dubai, I got this job offer, and is it conducive for my family of 4, etc.
All right, I'll get to this comment question because it's pretty much matching my second question towards you. This is from Rish Jitania. It's actually a two-part question. Hi, Tammy. How does the stipulated salary compare to daily expenses in Dubai? And then the other part is, hi, Tammy. How does the salaries differ from daily expenses in Dubai and also medical expenses? Is it worth the move?
So thank you for the question. So we're actually going to, I was going to cover that in one of the questions later, but we can cover it now. So
Okay.
I'll take a teacher, for example. A teacher in South Africa is getting between, I think, 18 and 22,000 Rand a month, right? The teacher, okay, I think they start early, but by 2-3 o'clock your work day is done. You pack up and you go home. You can either do your lesson plan for the next day, for the week, whatever. Here it's run as a business.
Yeah.
From the morning right up until 5-6 o'clock in the evening. It is very, very different to South Africa. Remember, you are an expat. You're dealing with expat children. You're dealing with so many issues of bullying, of language barriers, of different cultural norms, the teaching methods. There's so much that you are dealing with here. So don't be be thrilled by to say, okay, I'm earning a tax-free salary. If you think about it, from the 20,000 that you're earning in South Africa and having that peace of mind and the time on your hands, to earning a 60,000 Rand salary here, but then you're paying for your own expenses, you're paying for some very few schools do pay for your medical insurance. You're paying for your own medical insurance, your transportation. you need to consider all those things. There's one or two schools like I think there's an Indian school, the National School of India that's here, where they do have what do you call it, the hostel setup
You
where
mean a
you can
boarding
stay
school?
on premises. Sorry.
I was thought maybe you were referring to boarding school.
No, not boarding school. Where they have the dorms where the teachers can stay on the premises.
Okay.
But it's like, do you really want to stay and share a bathroom with like 12 people? You got to think about those things as well. So
Perfect.
when you do get a job offer, find out how far you're going to stay from the school. What are the perks? Are they paying if you're bringing your children across? Are they paying? A lot of the companies do pay a portion for the kids' schooling, but not all of them are actually breaking away from that. So find out how long is your contract. Do you sell up? Don't you sell up? A lot of the companies now, if you're coming here with a 60,000 rand salary, you're coming on a 2-year contract. They're not renewing that contract because in 2 years' time, they can get somebody at 50,000 rand. So do your homework very thoroughly. Ask them, what are the chances of renewal? When your term is up, do you, coming back, do they pay your relocation fees? Another thing, if you are relocating, do not bring your furniture. Do not bring your valuables, because I've done it previously, and your stuff just gets damaged in the process. And if you are coming with children, yes, to try and do the transition, like having the familiar furniture, the familiar things at home, you want them to transition smoothly. But if not, if you're coming on your own, come and rent out a furnished apartment here. Don't put yourself out into expenses, because it can get really, really pricey, and you can live above your means.
But when
I
you
hope
speak
I've
about,
answered that question.
yeah, I was just thinking, like, when you speak about rental, would Airbnb be a good option?
Sometimes, but then you got to look at what if the property owner has somebody in a, what do you call it, like a holiday period and a peak
Oh
period,
yeah, of course.
and want the apartment. They can give you notice and they can get you out. So there's everything comes with its pros and cons. Check it out clearly and thoroughly.
Right. I just want to, I think, maybe just to ask you this question, even though it's quite similar, the salary packages in Dubai compared to South Africa when tax, benefits, and cost of living are considered. I think we might have not covered the tax part, if I'm correct.
So yes, you're getting a tax-free salary here. So if you're earning 60,000, you're going to get 60,000 in your bank.
Oh yeah.
Things to consider: find out, as I mentioned, housing. Are they giving you housing, or they're providing housing? Some of the hospitality, where they provide you in a hotel apartment, or like a hotel apartment where you got shared accommodation, and they transport you. Find out about your annual tickets. Are they giving you and your family an annual ticket back home? By law, it is you're supposed to get one ticket back home for yourself. If you're here with your spouse or whatever, you're supposed to get a ticket back home. The as I mentioned, the schooling and the allowances for the children, and then also remember, in South Africa we have the pension fund, which we don't have here. So you need to find out, are you getting, after your 2-year period, are they going to say, cheers buddy, nice to know you, and there's no gratuity? You need to find out all those things, because it can be, even if you're going back to South Africa, it can be very, very costly to relocate. I know of a family going back to South Africa after 6 years. They set up a home here. The daughter finished university. She came up and she got a job here. Because she got a job, or because she came up on the father's sponsorship, her the father's contract was terminated, and her contract is also terminated because she was in the father's sponsorship. So your sponsorship as well plays a very vital role in your longevity in the country. So look at these things and remember, things are changing on a daily basis. If you read something last year, check it out again, because things are changing all the time. From the time I came here, the working contracts were 3 years. It's now gone down to 24 months, 2 years. So check these things on a regular basis.
Awesome. What are the biggest living expenses in Dubai, and which costs surprise South Africans the most?
I would say definitely the housing. Your
Okay.
rentals here, to be very honest with you, I've got my property back in South Africa. The rent that I'm paying here, I would be able to pay off my house in South Africa 3 times over.
Wow.
That's how exorbitant the rentals are. Things that you need to consider when you are in Dubai. Firstly, the rent,
Hmm.
the area that you're staying. You can, if I can liken it to like to South Africa in Johannesburg area, it's like you can get a place in Fordsburg, which is much cheaper, but your commute, you're going to commute for about 2 hours. So it's a give and take. Do you stay in an area where you spend more on rent and a lesser commute? It's a bargain that you're gonna put up with. The other thing is school fees. It is very expensive. School fees, university fees, very, very expensive. Kids sometimes, I know of people as well that have brought the kids here, put them into school where they could not manage. It was just a mismatch totally, taken them out and they're homeschooling them. Transport, your car payments, your fuel. Okay, fuel is fairly cheap here, but remember we have those, like what they have in Johannesburg, those gantries for the toll. We have, it's called Salik here. So every time you go into a certain area, we go under the gantry, your car's automatically being billed against your number plate. The parking, we pay everywhere you go. You pay for parking here. Parking can rack up very quickly, and they still work on the meter system. So if you can book 2 to 4 hours of parking at a time. Soon as you go over that, you are being billed 150 dirhams, which is like just over 600 rand, if you
Wow.
go over that time. So you got to be very, very cautious about those expenses that are not necessarily you aware of. And there's a lot of, because of the one-way streets, and there's a lot of places where you do the U-turns and things.
Hmm.
The speed limit is very low, like 60, 40. So as soon as you go over that, unfortunately, I got a ticket last week. Immediately you get a ticket of 150 dirhams. So
So,
you got to be very cautious. I drive with
mm,
Waze all the time because Waze has the flicker of a
mm,
traffic camera, and to notify you, because even if you are like too higher than the norm, you're getting billed. You're getting billed immediately, and it comes through on your cell phone as a message that, oops, you've got a fine of that amount. So that's something that you don't really consider. When it comes to groceries and dining out, yes, there's a few things that you consider. Um, Dining out is expensive. If you can get the cheaper, like the talabat, like your fast food things that are, I wouldn't say extremely cheap. I know of a South African family that came here in December, and they said, "Oh my God, 4 burgers," and they paid like 4 burger meals, and they paid 1,000 rand. I'm like, what? They
yeah.
were like totally gobsmacked that for a quarter of the price, you can, like we are in South Africa, you have the Wacky Wednesdays and MacD's and stuff, and you can buy a whole meal for the family
Mm,
for 250 rand. So those sort of things are shockingly expensive here. There's certain areas, or there's certain shops that cater for the lower end of with the groceries, like your there's something called Viva, which is an Indian. It's an India brand, and there's another one, Union Co-op, where you can get your fruit and veg at a little bit of a lesser price than your big supermarkets. The other thing that can rack up your cost unexpectedly is your utilities. We have DEWA, which is your water, and we have like a Dubai land department, where you spend all those other fees that you're not aware of. So remember, all the apartments have gas, and
Mhm.
your gas bill, your AC, that's standard. You have to pay these things. So
Yeah.
these are the things that are not portrayed to you when you're getting this beautiful package in front of you, and then you realize, oh bummer, I'm paying for this, I'm paying for that, I'm paying for that. I might as well just stayed back in South Africa.
Oh, so they don't have any solar in the apartments. Like, you don't get any apartments that could have solar and all that. So the way to avoid the
No,
gas and all that. Oh, okay, that's interesting.
no, they haven't gone that route as yet. I haven't seen anything in that line as yet.
All right. Is it realistically easier or harder to save money in Dubai compared to living in South Africa?
You know, it's actually
Mhm.
much of a muchness, because when you're here and you can live cheaply and you can save money,
Yeah.
and in South Africa, it's just about the same. You know, like there, you're getting your pension, your provident, you can save. There's different avenues, but here, if you don't do your homework well, your
Mm.
transport costs can rack up, and that eat into your savings so quickly. Your if you like dining out, your transport, even if you're using Uber, your those costs can rack up so quickly, and eat into your, if you're wanting to save, eat into that savings, and which you don't really budget for. So trying to save, unless you have a good discipline
Mm.
about your money, about your spending, it's very difficult to save. People, yes, they do save. I guess if it is of a couple that is working, so if you are pegging your salary to the dollar or to the rand, how you manage your salary. It's a lot of people also, they working here and then they send money back home, so to families. So it's almost impossible for the lower end salaries to actually save. So as I mentioned, the big cost of the rental, the school fees, and the lifestyle as well. There's a lot of pressure when it comes to going out, to dining out, and the other thing that brings to the table is the medical issues. I know of people suffering from depression, and sadly, in the building that I am in, a gentleman committed suicide in November, because
Okay.
these are the things that it's shocking, but it's true. And this is his case is the third case that I've heard of. And if you look at South Africa, you can lower your cost of living. You
Mm.
can, make amends with the high taxes, the weaker currency, and so forth. But here, you are really taking a risk, because the costs here are far, far higher.
Yeah, I was actually thinking if there's any loophole maybe in Dubai, is to probably share an apartment with someone. That way you can lower the burden, if that makes any sense.
Yes, so here with you have a lot of the Indians that on the lower salary brackets, the Filipinos that are also on those sort of brackets, where you have, it's so bad in some places they have bed sharing. So you have
Mm.
apartment sharing. So if it's apartment sharing is say you got a apartment of 3 bedrooms, right? You got one person renting out the entire place, but each bedroom is let out to a couple or to a family. And if it's not a couple, the room is actually divided and 2 people are renting one room. Then you have the stacked living. There's some videos on TikTok as well. The stacked living, I've seen Pakistani men, 8 men to a room. And the
Wow.
stacked living is your what we call the bunk beds in South Africa. So it's like a U shaped. So there's 4 bunk beds, and it's 2, 4, 6, 8. So it's 2 men on a bed, or on a unit, and that's how the stacked living is. And then you also get the bed sharing, which is a little bit ridiculous. It seems almost impossible to believe, but it does happen. The bed sharing is, especially in hospitality, where one person works the night shift. He rents the bed in the day, and vice versa. So you get the bed sharing as well.
Okay. How does the quality of life, housing, healthcare, transport, and safety compare between Dubai and SA?
Look, in the housing, you're obviously getting uh, good proper housing. Remember here as well, you got a lot of the newer buildings because the lifespan of properties in Dubai is 50 years. Come 50
Wow.
years, the building is torn down because of the weather conditions, the heat, the extreme heat. You get a
Mm-hmm.
lot of cracks in the building, and the safety becomes an issue. So the building gets torn down and a new building gets put up. The When I lived here in 2008, the building that I lived in is no longer a hotel apartment. It's actually a medical center. So
Oh,
the buildings do get torn down and new buildings get put up. So you're living in fairly good um, places, but the healthcare is super expensive. You're getting
I
top
can
notch
imagine.
healthcare. Yeah, you're getting top notch healthcare, but you've got to have a medical insurance to cover you. If you coming here and you think that you're going to go to, and what I've noticed here is what South Africa has a lot of. You go around the corner and in a shopping mall, there's a doctor there, or you've got a medical center. Here, you don't have that. You do have a lot of the aesthetics clinics, and your the beauticians and the beauty parlors here are dime a dozen. You get a lot of them, and your aesthetic clinics. But what you lack is your normal general GP that you want to go to. You've got to go into the hospital. But the hospital facilities here are unmatched by far. And you can go onto the website, you can choose whether whatever, you can even put in your symptoms, and immediately it will give you a list of who you should see. And some of the doctors, you can't even pronounce what they do, their specialities, but it would come up. Like the one hospital here, King's Hospital, when you walk into the hospital, there's a little robot with like an iPad on its chest, and you can punch in your details on there, and it would guide you as to where you should go to, which I feel South Africa has a lot to learn with when
Yeah.
it comes to the healthcare, and it is so super efficient. Where you do a blood test, like an hour later, you're getting your results back. The doctors here are working on a weekend. You can get a doctor on a Sunday. You can get a specialist on a Sunday. You can get a specialist at 2 o'clock in the morning. So there's a lot. It's like becoming the city that never sleeps. It's becoming like Vegas because it's just 24/7. It's just working all the time. The one thing that I would say nobody can touch Dubai for currently is the safety. So,
Oh,
like in South Africa, even when you're walking, safety as in terms of your personal safety, like people pickpocketing your cell phone. Here you can walk. I've done it. I do it on a regular basis. I can walk at midnight. I can walk at any time of the day. You won't have the guys catcalling you, and you don't feel that insecurity, of walking alone. That is what I admire this place about. The other, I'm guilty of doing this,
Hmm?
where I would drive. I've got my laptop bag on the seat next to me. I've got my handbag on the seat next to me. But back in South Africa, you can't even do that. It's
Yeah.
with the smash and grabs, and I know it's becoming, especially around like the peak seasons like December, Christmas, the Easter time. It becomes quite heightened. So the unmatched thing here is the safety.
Awesome. What advice would you give South Africans considering moving to Dubai for work in today's economic climate? Hmm.
So, if you're considering, I'm saying do your homework very well. Ask questions, like I mentioned before. There's so many
Yeah.
groups on Facebook. There's expats in Dubai, expats in the UAE. Join those groups, jobs in the UAE. Join every group you can think of. There's WhatsApp groups. There's people
Hmm.
can even reach out to me. I've got a few groups going as well. If you're not sure, please reach out. Do your homework properly. There's check your packages. Check also the other thing. I'm actually currently coaching a CEO, right, on English presentation skills and speaking skills. And something that I have noticed, like in South Africa, we've got the straight 9 to 5 or 8 to 4. You've got your 8 hours and you get a lunch break in between. I've
Yeah.
seen it here where I'm seeing it in this company where there's young guys, I would say between the ages of 25 to 35. They get timed for a smoke break. You can't, like in South Africa, I know I worked with corporates, and some of the guys used to go out for 4 or 5 smoke breaks at a time or in a day.
Wow.
Here you only allowed like 1 or 2 smoke breaks. Your lunch break, you'll be lucky if you get a lunch break. I've seen people that sit and eat at the desk. If you do get a lunch break, it's 20 minutes to half an hour. The
Hmm.
times here is 9 hours. You're working 9 hours. This particular company, they work 9 till 6 every day, including a Saturday. 9 till 6.
Wow.
So it's really, really taxing on the health. I mean, you think about it. If you working 9 to 6, you are so body tired, you are so brain tired by the time 6 o'clock comes. Then you still got to commute home. Your health becomes is a risk factor because you're not eating properly. In that
Yeah.
tired form, do you still want to come home and cook? Even if you're buying something, you're still waiting for the thing to be delivered. In that time, you are like one of the gents that's in the office there with me. He said by the time he got home, he's got an hour and 20 minutes commute by the metro. By the time he got home, his food, he was waiting for the food. The food said 20 minutes, right? And he said he sat on his bed and he passed out. And the food, now here, if your delivery comes, it comes by the door, they'll hook it on the door, they'll probably ring the doorbell. Even if you look at my corridor as well, there's a whole lot of deliveries. It's very safe. People will leave their stuff there. He says he got up at 2 o'clock in the morning, and he was just so tired. He didn't even, he just kicked off his shoes and he went back to bed. In the morning, he found the food still hung on the door. And that's how tiring it is here. It is very stressful. I would say South Africans are really, really spoiled. I've worked in
Hmm.
corporates, I've worked in various jobs in South Africa, and I know how spoiled the South Africans are here or are there. If you are the one that has the cushy job from 8 to 5, you can leave early. Here they watch you, even if you're 5 minutes before the time or you come in 5 minutes later. Some of the companies, and I've seen it, some of the companies actually deduct money from your salary for coming in late, for leaving early. The other thing that I've noticed, excuse me, one of the gents was sick, And you could see, I mean, you can see when somebody is sick. He actually had food poisoning. I mean, his eyes were sunken in, and his cheeks were actually red because he was burning up a fever. They actually phoned him to say that he needs to come into the office because there's certain things. There's only one of him with what he's doing, and he
Yeah.
needed to come into the office. He came in,
Hmm.
traveling by the metro. He came in, worked for 2 hours, and I actually went out to the CEO and I said, listen, this chap is going to get the whole office sick. So please send him home. And another thing as well is people are packed like sardines here. If you think, you got that fancy office in South Africa with that big mahogany desk, you come here and you're like in a little nook. So people feel very claustrophobic when they come here, especially the South Africans, and they can't manage. They can't adjust to the long hours, to sharing. Like if you get your normal desk, you're not at a normal. You're not in a South African space. You're in a Dubai space, and you're sharing that desk with two people. So those are the things that you consider. Are you that type of a person? And some people would say, oh yeah, I can manage. I've seen so many people that have come here, especially teachers, that cannot handle the pressure, and after a month or after 3 months they want to go back. So just be very, very cautious. The other thing I want to stress on is Dubai is giving 2-year contracts to people. Be cautious. Don't sell up everything. If you can do a 2-year sabbatical and come here, work, make some money, and then go back, do it. But do your homework. Don't sell up everything. Don't bring the family up immediately. Be cautious as to how you plan your life. Ask questions and reach out to people. Find out there's a lot of people living here and where you can get information from, and people are readily wanting to help. The here I would say, like in South Africa, you got a family of 4, like you got a 20 to 30K salary, you can get by. But the same family here on a 60K salary, the dynamics are very different, very, very different, especially if you've got kids in school. You can rack up your expenses very, very quickly. There's a lot of the people that I've worked in recruitment as well, a lot of people that have been banned from the country because people live on loans. And as soon as you're owing the bank, once you leave, they ban you. They what do you call, they sort of label you that you can't come back into the country. So you got to be very, very cautious. They actually label your passport in some way. So those are the things that you got to consider, that is not generally portrayed out there. Everybody portrays this, this fantastic life of glitz and glamour. There is the glitz and glamour, but if you are on the like really high end, if you've got the money, you can live on with the glitz and glamour. But if you just the normal run of the mill average type of worker that wants to come across, please, I beg you, do your homework properly.
Yeah, I just wanted to confirm, but the ones that come in late, are they not able to cover it up by working extra, or will they still deduct your money?
They still, unfortunately, it's very, very strange. I don't know how they operate. This particular company that I was consulting in, the the
Hmm.
the same gentleman worked on the Saturday, but he worked an hour later, but it was not considered. And
Oh,
to me, not having not having that hour
flexibility.
lunch,
Okay.
not having a break, it's really taxing, because remember, you're sitting all the time. It's not good for your health. There's
Yeah.
so many things that can go wrong. And also sitting in an office like sardines, one person gets sick and everybody gets sick. It's central air
Hmm.
conditioning, I've seen it happen. And I've actually consulted in one company where everybody in that team, excuse me, was fat. They sat at their desk and they ate their food. They shared one vape going around the table. Very, very unhealthy conditions. And a lot of it gets swept under the rug, where people don't mention these things because, they want their jobs. They want to keep their jobs.
Mm.
And but to sacrifice your health
Yeah.
for that time, you got to really, really weigh it up.
Yeah. All right. All I got to say, thanks so much for your time once again, and catch up with you next week.
Thank you so much. And thank you to the listeners. Love and light to all.